Just getting set up here. All right, we made it. Super excited to join you today. Happy Friday. My name is Julie Hirschberg, the owner and founder of Reactive Therapy and Wellness here in the Los Angeles area. And I'm excited to bring you a little Optimal 101 today, just a little brief tidbit. As you know, I've been really jazzed on the optimal theory for a few weeks. We've talked about many pieces of it. And if you've been a part of this, you've heard me talk about it, but I thought it would be nice to just briefly go into it so you would have an introduction to optimal if you hadn't heard about it before, because sometimes you just need the basics. So we're going to talk about the basics. What is optimal theory? What does the science say? And in particular, the very recent science, simple ways to incorporate optimal into practice, and our special announcement of our new pocket course. So excited. Let's dive in and let's start with what is the optimal theory. So it stands for optimizing performance through intrinsic motivation and attention for learning. And this theory in the paper, I really love this paper, by the way, because it goes through a lot of the science behind it. It comes from a long history of motor control research, looking at how people learn and improve their movement skills. And it takes into account much of those other social, cognitive, emotional factors that influence our motor output. And it highlights three major things. You've probably heard me talking about these before: autonomy, enhanced expectancies, and external focus of attention. So let's talk about each of these very briefly and then hit on some of the science too. And I'm just going to make sure this is working here. It looks like it is alrighty. It's always tricky when we're streaming it via Zoom to know that it's working, but it looks like it's working. And we're streaming via Zoom because I want to share my screen and share a couple of things with you today. So hang in there with me. So let's talk about autonomy. This principle is based on the ideas that providing choice and control over the environment to people can help improve motor learning. And we can see this and do this in several ways. We can provide control over practice conditions. So even the order that people do things, the color of the noodle that they might choose, it can just be the language that we use when talking through therapy with somebody, and even just providing an incidental choice to them. Why this is beneficial is because it enhances self-efficacy and a focus on the task itself. And it can reduce somebody's stress level, which right now is so important. So that's autonomy. What is this enhanced expectancies? Enhanced expectancies is really focused on what we know about humans, is that they have a propensity to prefer positive feedback, positive information about themselves, especially with performance or fitness or health or how athletic they are. And we can use this to our benefits because it's so motivating. It can really help somebody practice and learn a task. This can be done through things like vicarious experiences. So showing an example of somebody else that has been really successful with maybe the same diagnosis and same tasks. It can be by providing positive feedback. It can be by using video feedback of a person's success. All of these are ways that we can enhance somebody's expectancies. And again, much like autonomy, this improves self-efficacy. It helps a person get ready to be successful in a task, and it releases dopamine because we have an outcome expectation with the task. So all really positive reasons why we would use this. And this is also getting down to why using the optimal theory in practice is really such a miracle drug. So finally, my favorite, external focus. So what does this mean? Focusing on the movement and the environment versus the self, focusing on an external goal instead of an internal focus on the body movement. So we're going to go through a few examples here in a moment anyway, but something as simple as moving the noodle instead of your hand is a really simple way to do that. And over again, we've seen in the literature that this external focus really helps with somebody's mastery of a task. And it's because it promotes automatic movements and focus on the goal and the task versus the inward focus on the self and the body. So that is briefly the optimal theory: autonomy, enhanced expectancy, external focus. I want to just hit on a couple of recent articles that have used the pieces or all of the optimal theory into practice. And I'll drop some links in here too. One of them was called The Effective External Attentional Focus and Self-Controlled Feedback on Motor Learning in Older Adults. And this builds on some of the work that Dr. Luthwaite and Dr. Wolf put into the original optimal theory paper, where they were having people do a balance task on a rocking surface. And what they did is broke people into groups, and they found that the group who had an external focus for the instructions for the task, as well as had autonomy and control for when they received feedback, that combination, which when you put that with enhanced expectancies, that's like the triple threat, they had the best learning and performance on that balance task. So self-controlled feedback, so asking somebody when they want the feedback, and an external focus improved their ability to learn a balanced task. That's been shown again and again. That article was just from 2020. Second, and I just pulled a few things that were very recent, and so many things come out of the sports world and then are immediately applicable to what we do in neuro rehab. This one was called A Test of Optimal Theory on Young Adolescent Standing Long Jump Performance and Their Motivation. And so what they did is they directed attention to a visual external focus, external cue, and then they paired that with autonomy in their motor performance. And then, so triple threat, they added enhanced expectancies. And what they found is that these variables positively influenced their motivation and contributed to their performance on the actual long jump. No surprise there. This has been shown over and over again. One last study that was actually from Gabby Wolf's lab, and Julianne Wellman was the first author. This one's called Bullseye, and this was on dart throwing. And again, I love all these simple examples because they're often the kinds of games and things that we will do in therapy to improve somebody's motor performance and balance and things like that. And so what they did in this study was, again, to combine these enhanced expectancies and autonomy and supportive autonomy, and compared that to a group that did not have that, and then to see that their performance on a retention task with throwing darts. And again, the group that had the autonomy support and enhanced expectancies had a higher self-efficacy during practice, and then also had a greater dart throwing accuracy. I love that. So simple. And honestly, it is so simple and so powerful, which is why it it's so important, why we kind of get really excited about this and want to share it with the world. So I want to give you some simple examples of how to do this. So autonomy, one of the easiest examples is simply asking for input on the order of tasks that you might do. So let's say I'm going to plan a session with different balance tasks. Maybe we've been working on something in the harness, we've been working on something at the steps, and we've been working on something on one leg. And then I'm going to provide a choice of which one we might start with. That is a very simple example. External focus is, I brought some props. Some of my favorites are noodles. So instead of having somebody reach their arm to a target, reach the noodle, I know it seems silly and it seems inconsequential, but it is not. This is the type of thing that propelled the long jumpers to jump further, right? The dart throwers to have more accuracy. I love a good noodle. And then providing choice, what color of noodle is a way to have autonomy. I also love boom whackers, kind of like a noodle, but they have different musical notes. So then we actually also get an external cue and focus of rhythm and sound, which I love. And then adding enhanced expectancies. So one thing that I really love is providing that positive feedback. And you can combine this with autonomy by having that person self-select when to get feedback. So that's really powerful and another kind of double threat of the optimal theory. Okay, so now what I'd really like to do is share with you this announcement. Like I said, we're so excited. We've been jumping into these pieces of optimal theory for a while, and we put them together in something called a pocket course. So I'm just sharing my screen with you so you can see this course, and I'll just scroll through a couple of pieces of it. Chelsea Richardson, amazing neuro PT who runs our Torrance clinic, put together this course because she, like all of us, are really passionate about optimal and making it really simple. So the idea of a pocket course is you could literally like download it, put it in your pocket, pull it up. It's super short, 30 minutes. It goes through the background. So I can show you here, little video here. Welcome to the optimal course. You can see our downloads with it. Really, really simple to follow with the background of optimal and then the blueprint of optimal. So all of these ideas that we've been talking about put into a blueprint that's really easy to use. Part two is examples. So that you can start then brainstorming some things for yourself. And it actually has a practice worksheet so that you could take these examples, bring it to different cases. It has case examples and how might you use optimal in those cases and be really ready for the clinic the next day. Part three is a bonus that I love based on a lot of the work that Mike Studer has brought to our neuropracticity course of how to grade that right amount of autonomy, because that can be a really tricky piece of this because sometimes there's too much. So those three short little videos between 3 and 5 minutes each. So this is like, you could listen to this on your way home or on a walk or anything like that. The handouts and downloads also really easy to get to. The course handout, we have a cheat sheet for you, the references and that practice worksheet, all just at your fingertips, super easy to use. I'm so thankful for Chelsea putting this together for us to share with you, and really accessible. So for this week, this is today is the day that we're launching this course, our first pocket course, our first teeny tiny course. And it is only $29. So super affordable, high value for you. Normally the course will be $49, but since it's our first week, we're just getting it out. We wanted to get it to you really affordable. So this course is great as that intro, easy, simple to use, optimal, put it into practice the same day. So I'm really, really excited that we get to introduce this to you and to have you benefit from the work that our team has learned and put together. So that's the optimal 101 basics. Now you have our pocket course that you could have access to at any time. By the way, it's not a live course, it's all recorded, so you can purchase it anytime. And thank you again for joining me on a Friday. I'm so thankful as ever, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.